feet on the ground for my.
Joining him on the orange couch is Thione Niang, a Senegalese American activist and founder of the Give One Project. Thione, welcome to the stream. Talk to us about what Give One is all about.
Give One Project is a global organization that's aimed to develop young leaders across the world, and we are now in 9 countries. We focus on leadership and also entrepreneurship. Just after President Obama's campaign, and again, we're in 9 countries right now helping young people.
You said 9 years ago?
Just 2 years ago.
Oh,
we
2
are
years
in
ago.
9
Gotcha.
countries
in
now,
9 countries.
helping
Okay.
young people be leaders in their communities and make
That's
effective
amazing.
change from the bottom up, as we did in President Obama's campaign in 2008.
Okay, and for our audience, you were very heavily involved in President Obama's 2008
I was heavily involved
campaign.
and still involved in
Still involved in
2012
2012.
campaign.
All right, well, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank
Your
you.
own political analysis from both angles is going to be quite intriguing. Great to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. The Senegal's most celebrated artists have a real shot at the presidency. Joining us now from Dakar, Senegal, is Youssou N'Dour. Mr. N'Dour, welcome.
Thank you.
First question, tell us, why are you
Thank you.
running for president?
Thank you. Firstly, I'm running for president because of most of the people from Senegal ask for my candidate. Most of the people, leaders, they don't have a leaders. Most of the people in Senegal know, they think people who are leading this country doesn't take the priority from them.
One of the questions that's come up is you're a very successful musician, but you haven't had a career in politics. What do you believe makes you qualified for the office?
I think I don't have a big experience with politics, but the politic conscience I have since now, more than 40 years I have this conscience. I did a lot of great meetings. I solve a lot of problems. I participate in a lot of discussion about peace, about politics, about way to drive a country.
But then we also have Senegal Decides on Twitter saying, it is a pure delusion to think that N'Dour will be elected president of Senegal. He will not be elected. So, Thione, to you, would you agree with this? I mean, what do you think? Is it a delusion to think he might be elected?
Well, I believe the electability of Youssou N'Dour. First of all, I wanted to commend him for his courage to decide to step into the place. Because all of us, Senegal is my homeland. And we all looked up to him as somebody who's worked very hard and shows the way that you can come from nothing to be something.
You know, it's interesting on that point. We got this tweet from Zito Alex saying that Youssou N'Dour is self-made, he's a philanthropist, and he's made huge strides for free press in Senegal.
He's that. He's a self-made man. Everything he's got, he's went back home and shared with the Senegalese people. He's hired hundreds of Senegalese people that work through his media companies, everything else. He's an icon to us. But then elected somebody to a president is a whole different ball game. For that, it's not for me to decide. It's the Senegalese people, as he said, that's going to decide if he's going to be the president or not. So let's see when the elections come through if the Senegalese people will accept his candidacy to with that.
So
President of Senegal, we will see with that.
So let's bring it back to you then, Mr. N'Dour. On that front, what are some of your criticisms of the current president, President Wade?
Thank you, my brother John. I think, Mr. Wade doesn't have right to be a candidate because our constitution is clear. He ran twice, 2 times. He doesn't have the right to run again. This is the first thing. I think Mr. Wade did some good things. We have to help him to get out in the place in the good condition. I can guarantee to Mr. Wade, he did a lot of great things to Senegal. We're gonna help him to be someone who helped this country, someone who did a lot of things for Africa, but he doesn't have the rights. Mr. Wade tried now to say, okay, let's see the Conseil Constitutionnel. He doesn't have the rights to go to the Conseil Constitutionnel. He have to read what we wrote in the Constitution. in the constitution, he doesn't have the right to go to the Conseil Constitutionnel. And now we are exposed. We are exposed. There's a big danger for Senegal. There's a big, flu. Something really we don't know what's going to happen. Most of the people in Senegal doesn't want him. Doesn't want they touch again our constitution.
On that front, actually, he brought up, I want to bring this to you, Thione, because he brought up the issue of Laurent Gbagbo, who was now deposed as president of Côte d'Ivoire. Lots of after a contested election, lots of allegations of fraud and abuse. We've seen this trend where it seems like certain African leaders want to make amendments to constitutions in order to remain in power. Is what Wade is doing something that is simply in a tradition of African leaders, or is this something that is new for Senegal in particular?
It is new to Senegal, but I would say Senegal is a different country. Senegal is a country of great democracy, and you should know what I'm talking about. Senegal, a country of Léopold Sédar Senghor, a president who led his country, remember Senegal is 95% Muslim country, were able to elect one of the Christians to be the president. He was able also to give us a lesson to leave when it was time to transition the power to President Abdou Diouf. Again, Abdou Diouf, democratically, when Abdoulaye Wade came to power in 2000, he was able to leave democratically without problem. So Senegal has been known in Africa as one of the great democracies. I would not compare to what's going on in Senegal with some of the other countries now. Now, each country is governed by law. Here in the United States of America, when we had the issue of George Bush, and George Bush, if you remember, in the 2000 elections, and Al Gore,
yes,
the Democratic Party and the Republican, everybody was shouting for that they won Florida.
Yeah.
What did we do is we pushed it up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And when the Supreme Court decided that the Republicans won Florida, everybody let it go. So what I am telling the people who are watching, who are in Senegal today, and to all of the candidates, including you, Sundur, is that is the date normally that they say that the Supreme Court will decide he has the right to run for president or not. What I know is that I support 2 terms presidency, because here I live in the United States.
Yeah.
2 terms of presidency works very well, because
and it's what's enshrined in the Senegalese constitution.
But what I know is that it works here,
Yes.
it works other countries, because it allows new ideas, new candidates to come and innovate new things.
So on that point of new ideas, actually,
Yes.
we're getting some interesting comments on Twitter.
The reason I bring this up is because one theme amongst many of the tweets on here is about how old the current president is. Right here, Tommy Cox Apple saying the president Abdoulaye Wade is 85 or 87. He is old and dying. Senegal needs Youssou N'Dour to make things work. We're in the 21st century.
So to that point, Mr. N'Dour, I want to ask, how is it that you were an ally once working with President Wade and are now campaigning against him?
Thank you. Always work with the institution like the President of Senegal. Since now, Abdou Diouf, then Abdoulaye Wade. Doesn't make confusion with the institution, with the someone who have a party. I never support Abdoulaye Wade with his party. I never support Abdoulaye Wade during the election. I support the president. I heard before Thione Niang saying, okay, if you have problem, you have to go to the Conseil Constitutionnel. He doesn't have the right to go to the Conseil Constitutionnel. The Constitution say to him, you doesn't have the right.
Do you believe that this will be a free and fair election?
This is a big question. And a big question not just from me, from the old Senegalese, from the old people who are supporting democracy. They have the responsibility. Even Mr. Wade doesn't have the rights to be a candidate. He has the responsibility to organize this election. We think this election is going to be clear. This election is going to be democratic. He has the historical responsibility. I'm not sure we're going to have clear election. This is why also I ask the international community to tell Mr. Wade, if this election is not clear, it's going to be big problem. It's going to be something that doesn't help Senegal.
So, Thione, I want to ask you on that point. You know, what do you believe the international community can or cannot do to ensure that these elections are free and fair?
I just want to come back to tell you that this been clearly demonstrated that young people across the world, and particularly in many of those African countries, in my home country, Senegal, are looking for leaders who can provide for them a better future, not only through rhetorics, but through actions. They're tired of those kind of leaders who come always talk about what they can do and they don't do it. I'm speaking for those young people that they desperately cannot have a decent education in Dakar, Senegal, or in Kaolack, where I'm from. Those kids that don't have no future, they don't know what their tomorrow will be like. Those young people, they need a leader who can inspire them to do more for themselves. So Senegal and Africa can compete internationally. So we can be in a different side of the spectrum, not only begging or asking for aid, but actually competing and creating partnerships, as he said. Now, for the free and fair elections, again, the international community watching what's going on from Washington, D.C. to all around the world, because all of the attention right now is in Senegal. Whether the government in Senegal knows it or not, people are looking at what's going on there. And history, again, will be on their side or against on what they have done to create a better Senegal with the way they found it. So to President Wade, what I'm telling him is that history is watching. And he's going to go down to history as one of the presidents who helped create democracy in Senegal, or one of those presidents who came and brought chaos in Senegal. He came in Senegal with democracy. He was elected freely and fairly in power. He got to leave today. That's not on me to decide. That's for the Senegalese people, Youssou N'Dour and everybody else who live in Senegal to decide that. But what I'm saying is, he's got to keep in mind that he's going to go down to history. And the young people of Senegal, my children and our great-great-grandchildren, they deserve a better Senegal. They deserve a better Africa. And we need the leaders of today of Africa to understand that what America is about today, it took the founding fathers a great vision that surpassed the individual and the egos and the individual interest to create a better America that all of us today are coming into to create our better life. Guess what? We can do the same thing in Africa. But our leaders have to think beyond themselves to know that they can create a better Africa for 50 years from now, what Senegal will look like. If Senegal didn't think like that, we will not have Abdoulaye Wade or Youssou N'Dour in the freedom to run for. We need the leaders today, Wade and everybody else, even the opposition, to think the same way so we can create a better Senegal and a better future for our children that are over there suffering and need somebody to create a better life for them.
So on that point, how would you say, if you could give one message, Mr. N'Dour, to the youth of Senegal, what would you tell them today?
Okay, what I hope is after February 26th, they're going to think about, work. We're going to create job for the young people. I want to say to them also, they have to keep their responsibility for this, what's going to happen today. No violence, but to be strong, to make sure we respect what we have together.
Thank you very much, Youssou N'Dour. It's been an honor, pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, Niang. Thank you, John.
It's really a very critical moment. As Thione has let us know, this is
a defining moment.
A defining moment because it's a powerful democracy, an historic democracy on the continent, and yet we see that democracy in a moment where it determines whether it stays along that democratic path or whether it follows the path that has been laid by so many African leaders in the past who have simply not wanted to go.
Exactly.
We have a few tweets, about you, Thione. Poor captures the spirit of the American dream, poor immigrant to successful businessman. And one question that hopefully you can answer for that chick Awa on Twitter saying, she asks, why is Thione not running for presidency? Educated, worldly, well-spoken, and most importantly, political experience.
Well, I think, I choose at this moment to live in the United States. This is where I'm at. Senegal is my home country. No matter where I'm at, what happened in Senegal going to affect me personally. My mother is there, my father is there, my whole family is there. So I got to have my eye in Senegal. but I just don't have no interest right now into running for office. I think we have enough candidates at home running for president. So
Yeah.
it's just 14, I think, or 16 of them.
Candidates at this
I think
point.
we have enough of them, you know.
Right.
So, and then some of them, I think, they're qualified to run the country.
You know, another thing that I would also point out just on that front is it's interesting how people kept raising the age of President Wade, 85 years old. And one of the things I would notice is, like, in Ghana, we had this joke that when Obama came a few summers ago, everyone was so excited to see him. It's like, Obama is in Africa. It was like summer of 2009. Obama. Everyone in Ghana loved it. It was a big deal. But the Ghanaian youth were joking that, listen, if Obama was Ghanaian, the guy is not 50 years old.
young.
The president, he's too young. Nobody's going to listen to him. It's like you have to be 50 plus before we even pay attention.
Exactly. But you got to remember also in Senegal, people talk about his age, but age, you really, in cultural differences in the Western world, what it means to us is different.
Yes.
Because in Africa, again, the older you are, the wiser you are,
more
and we don't
revered.
reject older people. There's a saying in my language that in Senegal that if the older person dies, the whole library is burned down. So it's not really a critical issue for us.
Right.
I think the problem comes to what you talked about is that they don't allow young people to lead.
Right.
You have to wait for a certain age
Exactly.
to lead. So what I'm telling to young people that are watching me today is that I will say what President Obama told us in 2008. Change doesn't come easy, and it's not for people who are waiting for somebody to come to do it for you.
Right. You have
If
to
you want the
demand it.
change in your countries, you have to make that change happen. When we saw here in Washington, in America, that we were tired of George Bush and the Republicans, everybody, we went to work. 2 long years of campaigning. It took us sacrifices we made. So change is not going to come easy. So what I'm telling those young people is, you got technology right now. You can educate yourself on the issues, but mobilize, get involved, talk to other young people, do what you got to do to bring that change from your community, from that bottom up, because the power is still within the people, and those are the future of the country, and that's young people that's watching us all over the country.
Unfold. Thione, thank you so much
Thank you
for being
for
with
having
us.
me.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you. You made a great job getting people involved.